You ever think about that little bit of magic that keeps your shopping cart full even after you close your browser and come back? Or how your social media feed just knows it's you every single time? Well, that invisible thread holding it all together is called a session. And believe me, it is one of the most deceptively complex and absolutely critical parts of the entire internet. Get it wrong, and everything falls apart. And yeah, the stakes are absolutely massive. This quote just nails it, right? If you mess up a feature, okay, it's an annoyance, you file a bug report. But if you mess up this system that remembers who people are, that is a full-blown catastrophe. It's the difference between a leaky faucet and the whole foundation of the house just cracking in. So for you and me, the people actually using these sites, a session feels simple. It's that wonderful thing that saves us from typing in our password every single time we click a link. It makes a website feel like a real conversation, not just a series of disconnected shouts into the void. Yep, that's its core job. Whether it's keeping track of your shopping cart, remembering where you left off in an online course, or just greeting you by name on the homepage, the session is the glue that connects all your separate actions into one smooth, coherent experience. Okay, so here's where the real problem starts. The very foundation of the web, this thing called HTTP, was designed on purpose to be stateless, which is a fancy way of saying it has total amnesia. By design, every request you send to a server is treated like it's the very first time it's ever heard from you. So you've got this huge tug of war, right? On one side, you have the web, which is built to forget. On the other side, you have us, the users, who absolutely demand to be remembered. Sessions. They are the incredibly clever and incredibly complicated bridge that engineers built to solve this fundamental conflict. So how does this simple idea spiral into a massive engineering nightmare? Well, for a senior engineer, this isn't about logging in. No. They call it distributed state management, which basically means how on earth do we make sure a computer system spread all over the planet knows exactly who you are all the time perfectly? I mean, just think about a company like Amazon or Google. You click a button, your request might fly to a data center in Virginia. Your very next click, milliseconds later, could get routed to one in Oregon. That session data, who you are, what's in your cart, it has to be in both places, instantly, without a single mistake. That is a mind-bendingly difficult problem to solve at scale. And just when you think managing that global state is the whole puzzle, boom, a whole new layer of complexity drops in: security. Because if a session is the digital version of you, then stealing that session is basically digital identity theft. What's really fascinating here is that sessions are also a huge performance trick. See, a modern website isn't one big program. It's hundreds of tiny little services, all chattering with each other. Instead of every single one of them hitting the main password database every time you click, they just check your session. It's like a temporary high-speed passport that makes everything feel snappy. But that speed, it comes with a really dangerous trade-off. Engineers face this tough choice. Do you use a reference token, which is kind of like a library card? It's secure because you can check the database and cancel it instantly, but it's slower. Or do you use a value token, like a JWT, which is more like a pre-approved hall pass? It's super fast because it has all the info it needs, but you can't easily take it back until it expires. It's this constant battle between total control and raw speed. And of course, the attackers get really creative. They don't just try to guess your password anymore. They'll try to hijack your active session right out from under you. Or even worse, in a fixation attack, they'll trick you into using a session they already control. That's why the good guys have to fight back by binding your session to your specific device or location, just to spot anything that looks weird. Okay, so we've got security, but let's talk about pure, raw speed. Because when you're dealing with millions of users, every tiny, microscopic inefficiency gets magnified into a gigantic problem. And there's this hidden cost, a tax you have to pay on every single click. This quote tells you everything you need to know. The critical path is engineer speak for the sequence of events that determines the absolute minimum time a task can take. So if the session lookup is in there, it means the fastest your entire website could ever be is limited by how quickly it can answer one question: who is this person? It literally sets the speed limit for your whole platform. And here is how you can get it spectacularly wrong. A user makes one request, and suddenly all your little microservices start screaming at the authentication system at once. Hey, is this user legit? Are you sure? Can you check again for me? You end up doing the same work a dozen times, essentially launching a denial of service attack on yourself. It's chaos. In computer science, this is what we call an O of N problem. All that really means is that the cost, the slowness, grows directly with the number of services you add. You launch one new feature, and the whole site gets a tiny bit slower for every single user. It's a tax that just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
So, what's the elegant solution? Well, it's actually beautiful in its simplicity. You check the ID once, right at the front door, at the API gateway. The gateway confirms who the user is, then it hands out a secure, temporary internal pass to all the other services. After that, the services don't ask, they just trust the gateway.
And this changes the entire game. Now you have an O of 1, or constant time problem. The cost is fixed, it's flat. You can add 10 more services, 100, 1,000, and the cost of that initial session check stays exactly the same. It is a massive, massive win for speed and for scale.
All right, let's bring all this tech talk back down to earth. Let's talk about something we all understand: money. Because when a session breaks, it's not just an engineering problem. It's a very real business problem.
You've been there, right? You're on your phone during your commute, you add a few things to your cart. Then you get home, you open your laptop, and you just expect those items to be sitting there waiting for you. Making that happen, merging two different sessions from two different devices into one, is an incredibly tricky challenge.
And if you get that wrong, the result is painfully clear. If a customer sees an empty cart when it should be full, that's not a bug, that is lost revenue. That's a potential sale that just walked out the door, probably forever. So after all of this, it becomes pretty obvious that we can't think about session management as just another item on a feature list. It's not like adding a new button or a color scheme. It's way more fundamental. It is the bedrock that the entire user experience is built on.
So if you're going to take away 3 things, let it be these. Sessions matter because, number 1, they are the single point of failure. If they break, nobody can log in, period. Number 2, they define the latency floor, the absolute speed limit for your site. And number 3, they are the primary attack surface, the main target for anyone trying to take over a user's account.
So that simple, invisible little thing, staying logged in, is actually a constant, high-stakes juggling act between performance, security, and data consistency, all on a global scale. Which kind of leaves you with one big, scary question to chew on. Now that you know all this, how in the world would you even begin to design this system to handle the next billion users?